Welcome to the Ice Guys presented by the Hockey Podcast Network. It is Sunday, April 11th. For you golf fans out there, it's Masters Sunday. We're going to see someone donning the green jacket today with the final round of the Masters taking place. We're looking forward to that. But this is the Ice Guys. This is a hockey show, so we'll be talking hockey as we always do each and every day, 7 days a week. Here on the show, we'll break down the Sunday card. We'll look back on Saturday's NHL slate, and we have a special guest that we've had on the show before once, and happy to have him back. A pro hockey player for many years, Devin DiDiomete, joining us on the show once again. Devin, welcome into the Ice Guys. How's things going for you right now?
Hey, thanks a lot for having me. We're in another lockdown here in Ontario, so there's not really much going on.
About it.
It's brutal. So, other than that, I wish I could tell you something was going on, but there's nothing going on at all. So here to talk hockey today, hopefully do a little bit better than last time. I think I went 2 for 4 last time, so I'll try and improve on that, and hopefully you guys can win some money today.
Yeah, 2-2. That's not terrible. You always want to be better. I like that, though. I like that attitude, man. You always want to be better. And I know I have to be better than yesterday. Yesterday was a bit of a tough day. The best bet cashed. We had the Blackhawks and the Blue Jackets over 5.5. So that got there pretty easily, but not the Saturday I wanted on the betting board. And speaking of Saturday in the NHL, we'll briefly look back at what we saw last night. Look, if you're the Calgary Flames, sell the franchise. Get rid of Daryl Sutter, get rid of Gaudreau, get rid of Monahan, get rid of that entire core if they couldn't find a way to win last night. That scheduling spot was a Christmas gift come, 3-4 months late for the Calgary Flames. And Devin, being someone that's played hockey, he knows how the schedule sometimes can catch up to teams when you play a lot of games in a condensed period of time. And when you see Edmonton, they play in 4 games in 6 days on the road this week in Montreal, back-to-back in Ottawa, Wednesday, Thursday, and then you're going to Calgary to play last night against a Flames team that hadn't played since Monday when they lost to the Toronto Maple Leafs. They're just sitting there a week basically to practice, to rest. And then the Oilers also, which I didn't find out until right before puck drop when Hockey Night in Canada mentioned it. They had the memorial service for Colby Cave, who of course is the Oiler that passed away tragically last year. It was the 1-year anniversary of his passing. So they had that going on yesterday as well, Edmonton. So it was a physically, mentally, probably emotionally worn down hockey team last night. It sure looked it because they were a step slow. Calgary just took it to them. So give the Flames credit. And Montreal fans may not want to hear this, but you're going to hear it. Calgary, they're 6 points out. Montreal's got games in hand for that final playoff spot. But Calgary plays Montreal head-to-head 5 more times this season. There's going to be opportunity for Calgary to get themselves back into the playoff mix. But the question is, are they capable of getting on a win streak and putting it together? It's fine to, shellac the Oilers in a brutal spot for Edmonton last night, and Calgary had been off for almost a week. But can you sustain that and keep it going? That's a big question mark. But first, you got to start with 1 win, and Calgary did that last night, so we'll give them credit for that. The Dallas Stars beat Florida. I was impressed with that yesterday. A nice win for the Stars. Florida, a lot of moves at the deadline they've made. I love the Brandon Montour addition, getting him from the Buffalo Sabres. Look, you have to fill the void left by Aaron Ekblad. I like that the team is still going for it. You've got a good enough team to compete, I think, in the playoffs and maybe win and make a run. But you had to upgrade the blue line the moment Aaron Ekblad went down with that season-ending injury. They did that, getting Brandon Montour, who, look, played for a shit team, obviously, Buffalo Sabres, terrible team this year, but he played some great hockey before the trade. So I love the deal, getting Brandon Montour from the Buffalo Sabres for Florida. We saw the Leafs win last night against Ottawa. Senators, as always, didn't make it easy for the Toronto Maple Leafs, but they hung on and got the win. And Jack Campbell makes NHL history. First goalie in NHL history to have 11 straight wins to start a season. So congrats to him. You knew the Leafs would go all out to try to win that for him. There isn't anybody on that team, everybody known to man on that Leafs team tells you the same thing every day, that he's a great teammate, great guy. He's very humble. And so they love playing with Jack Campbell. And you could tell they were chomping at the bit to get the win for him. The Montreal Canadiens, I don't know what the hell happened last night to them. Brutal performance by them against the Winnipeg Jets. They get shut out and dominated in that game. I'll tell you what the problem is, Devin. I think I know what it is with Montreal. Brendan Gallagher being out. He's a heart and soul of that team. He's the one guy that'll go to the front of the net, take a couple of shots in the face, take a cross check to the back of the leg, and still go to the front of the net to try to score goals. That's a heart and soul, emotional player that Montreal's without. I don't think they have enough other forwards that do what Brendan Gallagher does. And I think without him, you're seeing they're missing a little bit of something, and they're not going to get him back anytime soon. So that's the worry. Devin, I'll throw it over to you. Anything from Saturday you want to talk about? I know there's a particular topic that you want to talk about right now as well. So the floor is yours.
Yeah, about Saturday, number one, I can't believe what the league did to the Edmonton Oilers. You got a compact schedule like that. You got Calgary sitting in Calgary waiting for a team that's on the end of a road trip. And to add all of that, you got a team that just went through a memorial service for one of their ex-teammates. Like, give me a break, NHL. I heard Connor McDavid this morning speaking about it on NHL TV. It must have been an interview. And he even said, you know, what's the NHL thinking on this one? It's completely ridiculous. Number one, the scheduling. And number two, that Colby Cave was a teammate, a lot of those guys. And they paid the respects to him yesterday. And then you got to play a game that night. You know, these guys are NHL players. They get paid a lot of money, but at the same time, this is one of their friends, one of their teammates, a guy they saw every day. No human needs to go through that, whether you're making $10 million a day or $10 a day. It's absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah, it's look, I usually when I hear the players complaining about something, usually I'm to say, you know, suck it up. You're making millions of dollars. Deal with it. But this is different. This is 4 games in 6 days and an East Coast swing back to Calgary. The other team's waiting for a week. And it's having that memorial for Colby. That's what does it for me, to sympathize with where Edmonton stands on this and the players stand on this, because that's an emotional event for a team. You know, an NHL team or a dressing room, you know that. It's like a family, especially if it's a dressing room that really grows that friendship and that camaraderie in it. And it's a team that's really tight-knit. You know, you get close with your teammates and you have probably friendships that will last forever, even beyond your playing days. And when you lose someone that's a like teammate, that's one of yours, you know, it's a hard day. And so you think about the emotional, you know, stress that you're put under, having to, you know, say goodbye to your teammate, having the memorial for him. And then you got to try to play a hockey game, you know, that same day. I mean, it's hard to fathom that the NHL was that tone deaf, you know, in this kind of situation. To at least not, they don't mind rescheduling all these games for COVID issues throughout the course of the season, that, hey, this team's got a COVID-19 situation, we'll have to move the games. They couldn't move the game for Edmonton for a clearly emotional situation and something that you knew there was going to be a significant distraction from playing hockey that this team was going to go through yesterday. Yeah, I think they could have done a much better job. I mean, put the game to today. I mean, put it another day, but they didn't need to play it yesterday. And you could tell, I mean, Edmonton was flat as a pancake. And, you know, based on the way they had played this week in terms of their travel schedule, that alone, Devin, was reason enough for them to be flat as a pancake. But then you throw on having the memorial of your teammate and then having to play that night. That makes it 10 times, you know, that it's difficult to play a hockey game, let alone play well in a hockey game. So, yeah, bad job, I think, by the NHL there.
I 100% agree with you. And another thing that's been pissing me off here too is every time I go on social media, which is few and far between these days, I'm forced to watch a hit of whether it be clean, whether it be dirty, and everyone and their brother has something to say about it. Oh, it was an elbow. It was a check to the chest. It was this. It was that. Like, give me a fucking break. It's hockey here. This is a man's game. It always has been. It always will be. Not to say women can't play, but you have to be tough, whether you were a man or a woman, to play the sport. I don't know if we're getting to a point here with the NHL where we should just take out hitting. We should take out fighting. Get the big sheet, get the big European ice, watch guys skate around as fast as they can, watch them stick handle, watch them do these amazing things. Just have a complete skill game, because that's the kind of way it's going to me. I mean, yeah, we have a little more fighting than we're used to, but at the same time, you can't even lay a body check these days without the media going absolutely ballistic. Like, I can't tell you the last time there was a big check and there was nothing said about it. It seems with all these social media outlets, there's always something to be said now about a check. And it's like, come on, let the guys play here. So that's kind of where I stand on that.
Yeah, and there's been a bunch of questionable ones. There was a one with Connor Murphy for Chicago against Tampa a little while ago. I'm shocked that one was so heavily scrutinized as it was. And yeah, there's, of course, Connor McDavid gets a fine, not a suspension, for a hit he made in the neutral ice area against Jesperi Kotkaniemi of the Canadiens. So there's been a bunch of those examples of, it's difficult now for players to know what's legal and what's not. What if I hit this guy along the boards? Am I going to get fined? Am I going to get suspended? There's always now going to be that thought in the back of the mind. What's going to happen to me from a supplementary discipline standpoint moving forward? I mean, that's where we're at. And Brian Burke, who was Department of Player Safety for a while, that was one of his many jobs in the past. He always said when he worked in that department, half of one team wanted to hang me, one team wanted to hug me. When I made these decisions, there was always one fan base, one team that was upset, and one team that thought, hey, good job because you suspended that guy, or whatever the case may be. So you're always going to have one group of people liking what you did and the other group not liking what you did. I also know you said to me off air, you got some things you want to say too, Devin, about John Tortorella. I've ranted about Patrick Laine quite a bit. This guy and finally scored a goal last night. It's about damn time. So your second goal in 21 games. Bravo, Patrick. Well done. You definitely should be what an incredible contribution you've made to the Columbus Blue Jackets. But nevertheless, Devin, what do you think about Torts here? I know he's benched guys left and right. We know Columbus is selling. They traded Savard, so they're waving the white flag in terms of the playoffs this year. What's your take on Torts?
Well, I actually had John when I was under contract with the New York Rangers for 3 years. And let me tell you, those training camps were some of the worst things I've ever gone through in my life. I would absolutely dread going to training camp every single year. The first 2 days, there wouldn't be a puck anywhere in sight. And we were running miles, like skating laps. It was absolutely crazy. I do think John Tortorella is a very good hockey coach. Statistically, numbers don't lie. He's won Stanley Cups. Yeah, you can say it's the players he has playing for them, but at the same time, any coach needs his guys playing for him. Having said that, I think this benching nonsense has gone on a little too long. I mean, you see with Laine, one game he's hot, he's playing, next minute he's on the bench. A guy like him, a high-octane, offensive guy, supposed to be offensive guy, he needs his coach believing in him, especially right now when, he's not performing the way he needs to perform. I think John Tortorella isn't the guy for Patrick Laine. I also believe that Columbus is going to send off a couple big pieces here by tomorrow. I think Nick Foligno, I don't think he'll be in a Columbus jersey any longer. Former teammate of mine who I think the world of, who is the kind of guy that's going to help any team on a playoff run. He's a hard-nosed guy that combines skill with that hard style of play, which we don't see too much anymore. So I think he's gone. I don't know what else they're going to move, but I think that John Tortorella's days in Columbus might be numbered, to be honest with you.
That seems to be the general consensus. You're right that he might not be back after this season. And I'd really love to know what Cam Atkinson's thinking truly, because he's been sort of this year, almost like John Tortorella's PR person, public relations guy, because he's coming out in the media and they're always asking him, what do you think about the benching stuff with Patrick Laine? And he's basically saying, well, that's the way our coach, he does things. And he's basically trying to, just toe the line. I don't know, maybe he likes John, or is he just trying to, calm the waters? He's not going to come out and say, hey, I disagree with it. I think it's a bad coaching decision. No player's going to do that publicly, but it's interesting because he's kind of phrasing his responses to those questions about, and obviously he's one of the leaders on this team for the Jackets, Atkinson, and he's basically talking about it like, hey, almost like a PR guy for John. I got to make sure we prop the coach up a little bit here and make him look, reasonable, and in spite of what he's doing with benching guys left and right. particularly Lionel. So it's just I'd love to know if he really, really agrees or disagrees with it behind the scenes. What would you say? Is he on board with what Torts is doing? Is he not? But publicly, he's making it sound like, hey, I'm the PR guy for John Tortorella. I'm going to make sure we make him sound good and look good. So it's kind of interesting the way he's responded a little bit to some of those questions. Great stuff. We got a little bit of anger. We got a little bit of venom out of our special guest today with some of those comments. So that's what we want to see. We want to see that here on the Ice Guys show, because God knows I go off the rails with my ranting every now and then. But good stuff, Devin. Very good. All right, you ready to break down this Sunday slate? Let's get into it. We've got a very interesting slate today. We've got 7 games all together. We'll start with the Buffalo Sabres and the Philadelphia Flyers, 2 p.m. Eastern. We've got Philadelphia minus 230, home favorites, total 5.5, shaded to the over. That was a big win for the Flyers in terms of the standings yesterday. They defeat the Boston Bruins 3-2. It's a team that's had so many defensive problems this season. Goaltending from Brian Elliott and Carter Hart has not necessarily been at the level we expected of them, especially what we saw from them last year. The Flyers, though, are now only 4 points out of that final playoff spot. So they know, and Shane Gostisbehere said it, Giroux has said it, Voracek, Couturier, the leaders on that Flyers team have all said it. If we're going to make the playoffs, it's got to happen now for us. We've got to go on this run here. So it is a scheduling advantage for Buffalo because Philly played yesterday. It's back-to-back for them. That's definitely something you want to keep in mind. But are the Buffalo Sabres going to be able to play spoiler here against the Flyers? That's the question here. Buffalo split 2 games with New Jersey. I'll say this about Buffalo. Everybody's been ripping them this season, and rightfully so, especially, before the firing of Ralph Kruger when they were, lost 18 in a row. You deserve to be criticized. But under Don Granato, the current interim coach, they've perked up a little bit. Their effort's been better. They've scored goals. You've got some of these younger players. Casey Middlestat has 4 goals in his last 6 games. I should be betting that guy from a player prop standpoint. I've been missing out. I've been talking about it on this show, and I'm not practicing what I preach. That's got to end. I should be betting this guy to score goals. He's doing that right now for the Sabres. He's scoring. Victor Olofsson's been good late. Sam Reinhart has been pretty solid most of the season as well for the Sabres. I like their effort level, but they're still, unfortunately, not very good defensively themselves. Linus Ullmark in net. He's had some good games, some bad games. It should be Carter Hart, I would think, in net after Elliott got the start yesterday. I do lean to the over here, 5.5. I've been betting some Buffalo games over the total lately. Yeah, Buffalo, Washington, Friday night. I was on the over in that game. It cashed over 6. I think that's what I'm going to go with here. Over 5.5, minus 120. As far as the side is concerned, maybe Philadelphia in regulation. I don't know about the puck line. I don't know if I'm there yet with the Flyers, even against a team like Buffalo, to win by 2 goals or more. But obviously, this is a team that has to play every game down the stretch, Devin, like Game 7, because they're 4 points out of the playoffs. Every game is significant to them. So I'm not stepping in front of Philly here today, especially after they got a confidence-boosting win yesterday against Boston. So I lean to Philly in regulation in this game, but I like the over 5.5, minus 120, even a little bit more than that. Devin, what's your thoughts here with the Sabres Flyers?
So we got a terrible hockey team here in the Buffalo Sabres. They look like a team that's going to be basically selling anything of value tomorrow. Having said that, they have won the last 2 games against the Flyers, and the last one was a 6-1 win. The Sabres' only bright spot this year, in my opinion, has been their PP, which is ranked 12th in the league, I believe. And having said that, Philly has one of the worst penalty kills in the league this year. That's ranked at 28th. So I think if Philly, gets into penalty trouble today, they might be in a little bit of trouble. You got guys that, maybe are a little bit worried on Buffalo about where they're going to be come tomorrow, whether they're safe, whether they're not. It can go either way for guys. Some guys maybe won't care, or some guys will be gripping the stick a little harder. Other guys might be trying to showcase themselves one last time for a team that's trying to push for a playoff spot or even more a Stanley Cup berth. So like you said, Philly is coming off a huge win yesterday They have been fairly inconsistent this year, though. In my opinion, they're a team that should be a lot higher up in the standings than they are. Goaltending this year has been terrible. Carter Hart's not the same goalie we saw this time last year. For me, I think there's value to be had in Buffalo today. I don't love them, but at the same time, I'd take Buffalo in this one.
All right. Taking the plunge with the big dog here, plus 195. Look, Alain Vigneault said it after yesterday's win against Boston. I think he's concerned about this game and this spot because you know what he said? He says, we've got to be ready. It was a great win today, but we got to be ready for tomorrow. It's our 5th game in 7 days. When a coach is coming out and saying that about the schedule being against them, 5th game in 7 days, he's worried. He's concerned, and he's almost like setting the table. Let's get the excuse machine ready in case maybe we have a stinker tomorrow. That's kind of what it sounds like to me when I hear that. It's our 5th game in 7 days. So guess what? If we lose again to the Buffalo Sabres, and let's not forget, Philly's the team that snapped Buffalo's 18-game losing streak. It was beating the Flyers that snapped that ugly losing streak. He's almost like saying, you know what? I did say yesterday, 5th game in 7 days. Didn't I say it? If they lose today, you can come back and say that, right? Alain Vigneault, make it look like, hey, we got a reason we didn't play all that great today. That's why it's a fascinating game, because I don't think this is a cinch, this game for the Flyers, not by any stretch of the imagination. Hell, they're not winning games easily at all these days, and it is a big number. I just don't love stepping in front of a focused, motivated team like the Flyers, but there's no way I would endorse laying this big of a number with Philadelphia. The bet I'm going to stick with is the over. And I think I look from a goal scoring prop standpoint, Konechny for Philly. I think he's going to get it going. And Casey Middlestat for Buffalo, who scored 4 goals in the last 6 games. Good value goal scoring props there to look at here, in my opinion, in this game. You'll get good plus prices. I saw Middlestat like plus 275, plus 300 recently for his goal scoring props. So you get really, really good prices on those. Next game, we've got Arizona, Vegas. Vegas minus 250, home favorites, total 5.5 across the board. I guess the Golden Knights didn't like the loss they suffered against St. Louis. They didn't play well in the second of the 2 games against the Blues, and man, they took it out on Arizona the other night. They jumped on the Arizona Coyotes and won it decisively in that game, and now they'll get to play Arizona once again. I mean, it was 4-0 Vegas in the first 10 minutes of that hockey game. And they ended up going with a 7-4 win. Vegas got kind of sloppy late in that game, kind of fell asleep. Arizona scored a bunch of late goals, but 7-4 was the victory in favor of the Golden Knights. They were up by a big margin. Definitely not a good game at all for Arizona. And here's the issue with Arizona, because I've been riding this team over the total, and that's definitely what I'm going to be betting here again, is over 5.5. And Arizona's, I think, gone over the total. 7-1 they are to the over in their last 8 games. They're scoring more. Phil Kessel's been good lately, believe it or not. Yes, he has. Connor Garland, Clayton Keller has been pretty good offensively. This Michael Bunting kid has stepped up and given them some offense. But at the same time, their defensive game has declined. And look, with Antti Raanta and Darcy Kemper both injured at the goaltender position, Aiden Hill has to play every game. And the more teams see him, I think the more they know the tendencies, and then the more they know his weaknesses, and the more they're exploiting him. And you're seeing him get worse, not better, Aiden Hill, with every start in net for Arizona. So you put those 2 factors together, the offense has improved, the defense has declined, the goaltending is suspect. That's why Arizona is suddenly an over-the-total machine now in every single game. So that's what I'm going to stick with here. Arizona, Vegas over 5.5 minus 110. I'm kind of tempted by Arizona in the first period. I don't know if they've got it in them to sustain and win the game for 60 minutes, but you would think after getting a beaten down by Vegas the other night that maybe first period they come out with a fast start, a strong start. And look, these games are significant, Devin, right now to Arizona. They're battling St. Louis for that 4th and final playoff spot right now in that Central Division. So every game is significant for them right now for the Arizona Coyotes. So we'll see if they're able to keep it going here. Actually, the West Division, I should say, not the Central Division. But Arizona's battling for the final spot there along with St. Louis. So this is an important game, just as they all are right now for the Coyotes. So I lean Arizona in the first period at a great plus price. Take that shot maybe. And also over 5.5 for the full game. Look who's in the chat, our colleague, Alex B. Smith. Of course, he's back home tending to a family matter. We hope to have him back on the show this week. He likes the first period over in this Arizona-Vegas game. Devin, what do you think here with the Coyotes and the Golden Knights?
I like this Golden Knights team a lot. They play a great style of hockey. It's fast-paced, it's offense first, and it's something they're able to do because they have great defensemen and they have two outstanding goalies. Vegas beat up on the Coyotes Friday night. I mean, they outshot them 37 to 26, and I think that's an indication of what's going to happen again tonight. Personally, I believe the Golden Knights are head and shoulders above the Coyotes. I'm not saying the Coyotes are a bad team by any means, but I do believe that Vegas is a far better team, and they're far too deep, far too skilled, and I mean, up and down the chart, they're just so much better than the Coyotes. Another thing I like in this game here is Vegas is 15-4-2 at home, which is crazy. I know fans don't really come into effect this year, but just being at home, having that routine, being familiar with stuff, that's something that the players, as an ex-player, I can tell you it is something that's important. It looks like Fleury's going to get the start today. He's been incredible this year. I still think that Pittsburgh shouldn't have let him go. I believe he still had a lot left to give. I know there was cap issues there and whatnot, but he's an unbelievable goalie. I don't know. I don't see Arizona being able to stay in this one at all. Vegas has won 4 or 5 meetings between the two teams, and both teams know that the points are important right now, but I'm taking Vegas all the way to the bank on this one.
All right, liking Vegas here. Probably the -1.5 goals, I'd assume you'd want here, not the money line. Yeah.
-1.5 here. There'll be an empty netter. If not, I think they'll win with ease. But I don't think this one will be close enough that it is going to come to an empty netter. I predict a 4-2, a 5-2 kind of thing today.
Yeah, the Rick Tocchet saying our team was timid. You can't have 4 or 5 guys playing and nobody else. And that's kind of what his assessment of what we saw from Arizona on Friday night. Look, to me, there's a class difference from Colorado and Vegas to the rest of the division in my mind. Colorado and Vegas are 1 and 2, hands down. Minnesota is good, but they're not quite there. And then you've got pretty much everybody else after that. So Arizona definitely, just like they've struggled with Colorado as well, Arizona, they just have a tough time against the superior teams in the division and in the conference, to be honest. Next game, Pittsburgh, Jersey. We've got the Penguins, -170, road favorites, total 6 across the board here. Penguins in New Jersey for the second straight time facing off against one another. Pittsburgh beat them on Friday night with the victory that they had against the Devils, although the Devils made them work. I don't know where this offense is coming from for New Jersey, but it's mostly coming from Jack Hughes and Pavel Zacha. These two guys have really carried the Devils lately since the trade of Zajac and Kyle Palmieri to the New York Islanders. I thought after Palmieri was dealt from the Devils, that's a huge chunk of their offense gone, but give Jack Hughes, Pavel Zacha credit. Those are the two guys that have been carrying the way for the New Jersey Devils offensively. We'll see if they can carry it over here to this game against the Pittsburgh Penguins tonight. Pittsburgh, obviously a team that's trying to maintain their hold on a playoff spot currently in the very competitive East Division. That East Division is just jammed with a lot of really good hockey teams battling it out. We'll see if they can keep it going here. In terms of the goaltending matchup in this game, it's Tristan Jarry for the Penguins in net. It was Casey DeSmith the other night, and it'll be Mackenzie Blackwood in net for the New Jersey Devils. I kind of lean to the under here. Like it's a 6 involving a New Jersey game. I know it went over the total with Pittsburgh the other night. I could see Pittsburgh trying to dumb it down a little defensively tonight in this game. They have played better defensively this season, I think, this Pittsburgh Penguins team. No question about that, especially since they got Brian Dumoulin, one of their best defensemen back from injury. And they're still banged up front quite a bit with Malkin, Kapanen, Teddy Bluger, Brandon Tanev, all injured up front. I think after a high-scoring game between these two teams Friday night, I think there's a chance we could see a little bit of a lower-scoring game tonight. Tristan Jarry's going to want to play better. I believe he got pulled in the last start he had, so I think he's going to want to play better. I just don't know if New Jersey can keep scoring goals at this clip with just Jack Hughes and Pavel Zacha, two guys doing the majority of the scoring for them. So for me, I would lean a little bit under the total in this game. I'm not going to bet aside because New Jersey's still playing hard, believe it or not. And I don't feel totally comfortable laying this big of a price on the road with the Pittsburgh Penguins. Deeds, what do you think here? Penguins taking on the Devils. Oh, he's now done it like everybody else. You're muted.
Sorry. Sorry.
That's all right. We've all done it a million times. Welcome to the club.
Man. Oh, well, what can you do, eh? So we got two teams here that are heading in different directions. I think Jersey here is starting to wave the white flag with the big trade they made at the end of this week, trading away Kyle Palmieri and Mr. Travis Zajac. So they've made it clear that they know they're not a playoff team this year. Pittsburgh is in the playoffs. I think there's a lot of room for improvement in Pittsburgh. Personally, they've been playing really well though in the last 10. They're 7-2-1, including a 6-4 win against Jersey on Friday night. Jari's going to get the start, like you said, on Sunday. Save percentage is respectable at a .906, and the team's confident. You know, I think they have confidence in him as probably a number one goalie down the stretch. I watched the game Friday. I thought Pittsburgh's offense was really clicking. Brian Rust had 3 points. Sidney Crosby had 3 points. And I think Pittsburgh's really starting to put their game together. And I think it's scary for other teams in that division because they're, like you said, too, they're playing without Malkin right now. So I like Pittsburgh in this one. I don't like the puck line. I like the money line. I know it's not great odds for that. But like you said, the Devils still are competing. They got a lot of young guys that want to get better. They're also not a great team. They're 3-5-2 in their last 10, and they're terrible on home ice. They are 4-14-3. I'm taking Pittsburgh money line on this one. I don't know about the under, to be honest with you. I think this could be a bit of a Sunday sloppy game. With goaltending not being overly great on both teams, and like you stated, there's a lot of offensive firepower on this, so I might push the over on this one and Pittsburgh money line.
Yeah, Pittsburgh on money line -175 and lean to the over as well. Yeah, Jesper Bratt, I failed to mention him. Good thought by Alan in the chat. Yeah, he's been good offensively lately for New Jersey. Give them credit. They are scoring. I thought after Palmieri got traded, you'd see some issues with them putting the puck in the net. But, you know, they are a speedy team. You know, they're not going to be a team that's littered with those superstars and, you know, the elite offensive talent. But if you watch New Jersey play, it's been this way the last 2 years. They're very fast. Their team speed is really good. And they forecheck. They turn. That's how they turn over the pucks. They're kind of like Ottawa. You know, Ottawa's struggling, but Ottawa hounds the puck. They're fast. You know, and they just don't let you get the puck easily against them. And New Jersey's got some of those character traits as well, no question. All right, we got Colorado and Anaheim next up. Are you in the mood, Devin, to lay -340 with the Colorado Avalanche in this game? Because that's $340 to win 100. That's a massive price right there.
Not really worth it at all, is it? Especially for a team that's had a ton of success against Anaheim. Philip Grubauer is having an unbelievable year. It looks like he's going to get the start. 24-8-1. You know, he's for me, this is a no-brainer. But like you said, what's the point even playing it? You're risking a lot to not really win that much. I don't like the Ducks at all. I do like the under in this game. I think the Ducks, despite being a not very good team, they are a pretty good defensive team. They've allowed the second fewest goals per game this year at 2.2, and Colorado obviously has a strong team that also plays strong defensively, limiting their teams to only 2.35 goals against. So I like the under in this one. Big Stratford, Ontario native Keaton Middleton made his debut for the Colorado Avalanche on the blue line on Friday night. So super excited for him. Nice seeing guys from your hometown starting in the NHL lineup. I do think Colorado wins tonight. Don't like it enough to take puck line or money line. I do like the under in this one, though.
All right, liking the under. And, of course, it stayed under the total the other night, Colorado and Anaheim. And it stayed under the total. Miracle with Jonas Johansson in net that night for the Colorado Avalanche. And of course, he's had a terrible season for the most part. But look, they're facing Anaheim, a pedestrian offensive team. They played well in front of him. It should be Grubauer tonight, because I think they'll go back to him after Johansson got the start the other night. Should be Gibson for Anaheim. So definitely, I could see the under hitting in this game with the Ducks and the Avs. Yeah, I'm passing on this game. I have no bet, side or total. It's a big price. And yeah, I get excited for the hometown guys playing in the NHL too, Devin, just like you, the guys that are from your area, like Mark Jankowski. He's from Hamilton. He plays for Pittsburgh. Like Darnell Nurse, he's from Hamilton, plays for the Edmonton Oilers. So you get excited for those guys that are from your area and are in the NHL, making it happen, getting to the big show and getting the job done. No question, you feel good for them. No doubt about it. Rangers and Islanders, Battle of New York. We've got the Islanders minus 125. Home favorites, total 5.5 shaded to the under in this game. This is tricky because I feel like if I bet against one of these teams, it's going against one of my great loves because I like both of these teams. I bet on both of these teams quite a bit this season. I like the Rangers, the way they played lately. They had a nice 4-1 win against the Islanders on Friday night, but this feels like an Islanders spot to me. It just does, with them coming off that really rough home loss to the Rangers Friday night. It's another game now for Palmieri and Zajac, the two new additions to the Islanders, to get comfortable, get a couple games under their belt with their new teammates, their new line mates. I think they're probably going to feel a little bit more comfortable tonight and moving forward going into this game. They're very good at home off a loss, the New York Islanders. Their record is outstanding in that spot this season. So I don't know if I'm going to bet it, and I like the way the Rangers are going. Look, their offense has got it kicking right now. Zibanejad almost scores every game these days. Panarin, since they got him back from his little exodus, he had those little problems back home in Russia that he had to deal with, and now he's back with the team. And since he came back, Devin, that's when they took off, the Rangers, and started to play better. Their goaltending from Shesterkin and Georgiev has been better lately, but I do think the Islanders in this spot off the loss to the Rangers 4-1. It wasn't a great game. Barry Trotz didn't even like their game they won before that against Philly, where they got out to the 2-0 lead. Philly tied it, and the Islanders survived and won it. But he said he didn't like their last two periods of that game. So you just get the sense that this could be a spot where the Islanders really bounce back strong and have a good performance. So I lean Islanders for sure here. Minus 125 is the current price for them on the money line here. Devin, what do you think here? This Battle of New York with the Rangers and Islanders.
I'm with you on this one too. The setup here is kind of, the Rangers went into the island and won 4-1 there 2 nights ago as slight dogs. And I personally think the Islanders are going to want revenge for that. I do like the way New York Rangers have been playing, but at the same time, I think the Islanders are a better club. They're two teams that play somewhat similar, but the Rangers are only 10-9 on the road. The Isles are very hot at home as well, 17-2-1. And they're, like you mentioned, coming off a loss, they have a very respectable record at 7-2. So for me, I like the Islanders a lot in this one. I don't like them puck line. I like the money line, but I do like the Islanders.
Liking the Islanders as well, minus 125, liking them here. Devin DiDiomete in this one. 17-4 at home this year. They're tied with Colorado for the most home wins in the NHL. So they've played well at home. They've been good, in terms of bouncing back. Their record off a loss as well is outstanding. They're still 23-9 as well. Their last 32 games overall, the New York Islanders. Nobody pays attention, Deeds, to this team. And all they do is they play sound hockey, good defensively, an excellent head coach in Barry Trotz. And Matt Barzal's a great player, but nobody thinks of him as a superstar. Anthony Beauvillier, great player, nobody thinks of him as a superstar. That's why they're always a team. From a betting standpoint, there's value. They don't get the attention that Tampa does, and a lot of the Boston, Pittsburgh, some of the other teams in the East. But this is just a well-oiled machine. It's a good defense, solid goaltending from Varlamov, well coached. They have a decent enough offense, which has been strengthened now with Palmieri coming on board. So this is definitely an Islanders team to watch out for. They can compete. They can compete for Stanley. They went to the conference final last year, for crying out loud. What more do you want this team to do? To show people that, hey, they can compete for a Stanley Cup. They're a very good hockey team, but I think some people overlook them and just skip right on past the Islanders when they're talking about all the good teams in the NHL. You got to put the Islanders for sure in that mix, no question. Adam Fox, by the way, for the Rangers on their blue line is playing really well. He's really developing before our eyes as a nice defenseman. So keep an eye on his play. He keeps getting better for the Rangers, no question. All right, next game is Washington-Boston. The Capitals minus 125, minus 130 road favorites, total 5.5 here across the board. Devin, this Boston blue line's mangled. It's a shit show right now with this Bruins blue line at the moment in terms of injuries. I mean, it is really concerning. Bruce Cassidy looks worried. He didn't like, obviously, seeing what happened yesterday, losing another defenseman, Matty Grzelcyk, to injury. He's already got no Charlie McAvoy, no Brandon Carlo, no John Moore on that blue line. It is a short-handed defense, short-handed blue line. Do you know what I think? The first thing I think of when I see a team with cluster injuries on the blue line is I think they're going to give up goals. And I think that's what we're going to end up seeing here with Boston here today against Washington. And Daniel Vladar will be in net for this game. They've been riding Jeremy Swayman the last couple of games, but back to Dan Vladar here in this game tonight on the back-to-back. I know he's played okay at times, but he's still a very young goalie. I don't think he played all that great his last start that he had in net. I believe it was against the Flyers. And now he's got a blue line that's patchwork tonight for this Boston team. I mean, you're down to three outstanding, not just good, three outstanding starting defensemen, Brandon Carlo, Charlie McAvoy, and now Matt Grzelcyk. They're all out for the Bruins. So that's a significant hole on the blue line, on the back end that the Bruins have to fill going into this game. Oh, and you got to try to do it against Ovechkin, Kuznetsov, Oshie, Backstrom, and all this weaponry and firepower that the Bruins have, or the Capitals have, I should say, going into this game. So I like Washington here a little bit, minus 125, minus 130. They're also rested versus a non-rested Bruins team that played yesterday in Philadelphia. So it's a back-to-back for the Bruins. Washington played Friday against Buffalo, so they have a little bit of a rest advantage. I like the Capitals here. I like the over as well in this game, 5.5, minus 110. I believe Washington lost to Boston earlier this week as well at home. The Bruins beat them 4-2. So a little revenge spot as well for the Capitals here. Depleted Boston blue line. I like the Capitals. I like over the total as well. Deeds, what do you think here with Washington taking on Boston?
I think you hit the nail on the head there, Ian. Boston is beat up on the back end, and any team you see succeed in the National League generally have great defensemen. I personally believe everything starts from the back end out with goaltending and defensemen. Boston is beat right up on the back end, and they have to deal with a high-octane offensive team today in the Washington Capitals. I think Washington's going to go into Boston today, and I think they're going to win. I think I would even take Washington puck line on this. I do believe that it is going to be a high-scoring game. I like Ovechkin to score here. I think Boston's going to run into a little bit of penalty trouble with, D that aren't used to getting the minutes they have, maybe taking some bad penalties. I think Washington's power play is absolutely going to expose them. And with Washington's power play success comes Alex Ovechkin's success. And I think Big Ovi's going to have a big night tonight. I think the Caps are going to come out of Boston with a big win and get a little bit redemption from earlier on in the week. So that's where I stand on that one.
All right, Washington, and it sounds like Deeds is going to go puck line for a little extra value. Get that plus price with the minus 1.5 goals here on the Washington Capitals to jump on the Boston Bruins here in this game. I'm going to go a little safer. I'm going to be Mr. Conservative here, minus 130 with the money line. Play it safe, but I like them to win, and I'll go over the total as well. And yeah, just a lot of injuries for Boston on the blue line. Look, you played on a bunch of teams in your career. When there's like three, I'm not just talking about one guy. I'm talking about 3 or 4 key contributors to a defense, to a blue line that are all out at the same time. How many games usually, in your opinion, do you think that takes for the team to adjust and figure it out at the back end? Because you got to think it's not going to be instantaneously.
Yeah, I think he can go one of two ways, to be honest with you. With injuries always comes opportunities for other guys, whether it's your 5'6" D-man stepping up to play the role of a 3'4" D-man, or a young prospect coming up to fill a void of a superstar defenseman. Having said that, this is the National League, and 1, 2, 3, 4 defensemen on the ranks. They're that for a reason. They're making big money for a reason. Those holes are usually very hard holes to fill. Prospects aren't going to fill these overnight. Your 5, 6, 7 defenseman isn't going to fill it overnight. It could be a world of trouble. I think guys will play up, step up, play more minutes than they're used to, contribute as well as they can. But at the same time, it's a position that's hard to fill. It's, finding a good defenseman in the National League is so hard. And now Boston has 3 of them out. If I'm Bruce Cassidy, I'm shaking my head. What am I going to do? It's a tough time to lose 3 or better defensemen right now. They're in a dog hunt for the playoffs. I don't know. I think it's going to be tough. Hopefully they can fill those voids. Maybe we'll see them make a minor move tomorrow with trade deadline coming up here and get some depth on the back end.
Yeah, that's an excellent point, and I didn't mention that. And you're right. I think if you're Don Sweeney, the GM of the Bruins, now you are going to have to look, I think, maybe at a blue line or what. You don't know for sure how long the injuries are going to be right now to McAvoy, Carlo, and with Grzelcyk now as well. And again, this is a team that still wants to make noise in the playoffs if they're in there. So if they hope to do that, they probably have to make a move to maybe upgrade this blue line with no certainty of the timeline for any of these guys that are injured right now on the blue line. Good stuff. Final game now. Dallas, Nashville. Last game on the board for this Sunday. We've got Dallas -110 to -115. Road favorites. The total 5.5 shaded to the under. Lots of money coming in on the under. I could probably understand why that is. I'd expect a pretty tight, lower scoring game with the Stars and the Predators here. Huge game. Dallas is now just only a few points now behind Nashville after the last 2 wins. They beat Chicago 5-1. I'll tell you what, a hell of an impressive win yesterday against a very good Florida Panthers team for the Dallas Stars. They're starting to get better. And if you look at their advanced numbers, the ones that I pay attention to are expected goals margins for and against, expected goals for percentage, high danger chances. Dallas is surging up the NHL leaderboard, if you will, in a lot of those key categories, which indicates their quality of play is improving. And it's improving significantly, and it's improving quickly. And this is a huge game for them. This is the team they have to catch. Nashville's got that 4th playoff spot right now in the Central Division. For a team that went to the Stanley Cup final last year, this is a team that wants to at least get in the playoffs. I mean, they feel they're good enough. Remember, this is a Dallas team, Devin. They had the COVID-19 issues in training camp. They had their season didn't start for 2 weeks. They had the Texas issues. They had flooding in Texas. That delayed some of their games at one point, and it's completely threw this team's rhythm and routine out of whack. And I think it took them a while to get going. They had injuries to deal with. They're starting to get healthier now, and they're playing some of their better hockey the last week or so, week to 2 weeks, in fact, this Dallas team. So I'm thinking backing Dallas here in this game. -110, -115. I like the way they're trending. Nashville did get Ryan Ellis back, huge piece to their blue line to go along with, Josi and Ekholm. But they miss Eli Tolvanen. He is out. He was playing on the top line, but he got injured, and he had been a huge spark for the offense of this Nashville Predators team. Of course, they lose to Tampa Bay last night to the Lightning. Back-to-back for both teams. Dallas played an afternoon game yesterday. Nashville played at night, so a little bit more, although there is travel for Dallas to Nashville, but still a little bit more a rest prior to this game for Dallas. I like the Stars here. I like the way they're trending. Nashville, I think they can't keep playing this way with so many key cogs out of the lineup still and rely on it to keep going for them. I'm going to look to, and Dallas is the team in the trail position here. They need to win this game. They need to close the gap on Nashville. They have to treat this game like, hey, we got to get the points here. We got to get the win. This is the team we got to try to catch. I like their current form as well. So I'm on Dallas here, -110 in this game, and I lean under the total as well. Deeds, what do you think here? Where are you going in this one, Dallas and Nashville?
I'm with you on this one. I think both teams are trending in the right direction. They're both teams that started off pretty slow and were underachieving in terms of what people thought they should be. I look at the success Nashville's had, and they've beat up on a couple hockey clubs that aren't that great. They've beat up on Detroit. I mean, they beat them 7-1 and then beat them 3-2. They played Chicago, who came out of the gates hot, but is an average team in my opinion. And then they played Dallas and lost 4-1. I like Dallas a lot. I think this is going to be a playoff style hockey game because of how important the game is. I do believe it's going to be a low scoring game. I'm with you on that one. But if I had to lean one way, I would like to take Dallas. They had travel. Nashville's not a great team at home. You look at their home record. I think they're only 11-9, so I'm not worried about that. They're both about 500. Dallas 500 on the road. Nashville close to 500 at home. So I don't think home ice advantage plays a key in today's game. I think Dallas is the better team, so I would take them money line.
All right, liking Dallas -110, Devin on the money line as well. You're right. I've been banging that drum for 2 years. Nashville's home ice ain't what it used to be. I mean, I know they get the country music fans and they get, it's a loud building at playoff time and in the regular season 2 years ago. But, the last couple of years, even before the pandemic, Deeds, when there were fans in the building, they didn't have a good home record last year either. In the last couple of years, they haven't played as well at home. So it's not that same dominant home team, Nashville, that say they were, 3, 4, 5, 6 years ago. And you've definitely seen that with their recent home record. So both of us liking Dallas here in this game. Great stuff, Devin. You brought it today. You brought your A game, man. Awesome job. Great to have you as a special guest once again on the Ice Guys show. Before we wrap it up, a reminder, hit the like button. You're right. We got over 100 live views here. Hit that like button. I mean, we've got to get, we're getting 5,000 downloads now on the podcast version of this show as well. So it's great to see the show is growing here on the Hockey Podcast Network. We appreciate it. Keep spreading the word about the programming. Check out the other podcasts on the Hockey Podcast Network too. Team Podcast, Terry Ryan's podcast is a hoot. It's absolutely outstanding. He likes to chatting it up with a lot of those old enforcer buddies of his. It's a good podcast. So definitely make sure you check that out as well on the Hockey Podcast Network. A reminder too, download the DraftKings Sportsbook app, sign up for an account, use the promo code THPN. There's a lot of things going on in sports right now to place some money on. NHL, NBA, Major League Baseball daily. You've got the NFL draft later this month. There'll be props for the draft. You can bet how many teams are going to get drafted from the SEC or the Big Ten in the first round. Props like that. How many Alabama players drafted in the first? There's going to be all kinds of props for the NFL draft at DraftKings later this month. So make sure you sign up for an account on DraftKings. Use the promo code THPN. You'll get deposit bonuses, weekly specials, weekly incentives, all available to you. So take advantage of that. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app, sign up for that account, and use the promo code THPN. All right, Devin, it's the end of the show, which always means best bets to wrap up the show. I'll start with you since you're the special guest today. What do you got for us for best bet on this Sunday NHL card?
I really like Vegas puck line today. I think the game Friday night was an indication of sorry, I thought I was on mute there. I didn't have the screen up. I thought Friday's indication is a lot of how the game's going to go today. They're just such a better team. Their record at home is unbelievable. Arizona's not playing their best hockey. I like Vegas a lot puck line today. That would be my go-to bet.
All right, there it is. Best bet, Vegas Golden Knights puck line, -1.5 goals for Devin DiDiomete with his best bet Deeds. Follow him on Twitter at Deeds2424. I know he says he doesn't use Twitter much and is not on it very much, but hey, give him a follow anyway. Get that follower count up for him. We appreciate that. Get him to 10,000 followers. We can get him there with this show alone, I think. Good stuff. My best bet, it's going to be there's some. I'm going back and forth here on what I like as best bet here. I'm going to go with. I'm going to go Washington, Boston over 5.5 -110. I think the Bruins realize too. And the one thing about Washington is their defense isn't a lockdown defense right now. They're kind of giving up goals, giving up chances. Vitek Vanacek has been hit or miss in net. I like the Washington side too, but I think I like the total even more. So I'm going to go Washington, Boston over 5.5 -110. As we spoke about, Bruins blue line beat up to shit right now. With so many injuries, I think that's definitely going to show up tonight in this game. So for me, Capitals, I like the Capitals too, but for best bet, I'm going to go Capitals Bruins over 5.5 -110 for my best bet. That'll wrap up this edition of the Ice Guys. Thanks again to our special guest, Devin DiDiomete, Deeds, his nickname, Deeds2424 on Twitter. We hope to have him back at least a couple more times, at least later on this season. Thanks to everyone for tuning in. A reminder, the Ice Guys is live on YouTube 7 days a week, Monday to Friday, 2 p.m. Eastern, Saturday, Sunday, noon Eastern. And if you can't watch the show live, download the Ice Guys podcast in audio form on all major podcast platforms. For our special guest, Devin DiDiomete, I am Ian Cameron. Have a great Sunday. Enjoy the games and good luck. And we'll talk to you again tomorrow on Monday for another edition of the Ice Guys presented by the Hockey Podcast Network.